In this lesson, we're going to be looking at kites. And so a kite is a quadrilateral with the following properties. So it has exactly two pairs of consecutive congruent sides. So AB, this side, is congruent to AD, and BC, right here, is congruent to DC. So that's one property. And then the next one is that one pair of opposite angles are congruent, and that would be these two. So angle ABC is congruent to angle ADC. And then the last thing is that the diagonals are perpendicular. So here's one diagonal, here's another diagonal, and those are perpendicular. Oops. Okay. So for number one, we're going to keep those things in mind. And we're going to find the missing angles here. So we have angle A at 85 degrees and angle C at 43 degrees. So we need to find the measure of angle B and the measure of angle D. One thing that you need to remember is that a quadrilateral, all the angles add up to 360 degrees. So we know that B and D are the same. So we can say, okay, 85 plus 43 plus x is going to have to equal 360. So if we work this out, 85 plus 43 is 128. So we have 128 plus 2x equals 360. And then subtract 128 from 360, and we get 232. So we have 2x equals 232. And then if we divide 232 by 2, we should have the measure of angle B and angle D, which happens to be 116 degrees. So these are 116. Okay, so that was that formula where you take n, which is the number of sides, and then you subtract 2, and you take that number and multiply by 180. That's how you can find what the total degrees is of that particular polygon. Okay, so for number 2, we have 82 degrees here, 71 degrees here. So here are the two that would be the same. So angle J is 82, just like angle L. And then now we know 3 of the sides, and we need to find the 4th side. So we can add all those up and subtract that from 360. So we have 82 plus 71, which is 235. So 360 minus 235 is 125. Okay. All right. So for number 3, we are looking at the measure of angle PTQ, and we know that the measure of angle P is 37. So PTQ, well, based on what we know about kites, the diagonals are perpendicular. So we know that PTQ is a 90-degree angle. So that one would be 90. PQT is this little guy here. So if we know that we have a 37-degree angle here, we have a 90-degree angle here, and we're looking for this one, well, a triangle, now this is a 90-degree triangle, because we know that this one's 90, that's going to have to add up to 180. So if we take 90 and 37 and subtract that from 180, that's 180 minus 127, we get 53. So that one's 53 degrees. So it was 180 minus 127. And then to get QRT, well, that one's pretty easy because that should be the same as this one. So this one is also 37. So we have 37 degrees there. Okay, so for number 4, we're looking for triangles and trying to figure out angles at this point because we know that these are perpendicular lines, those diagonals are. So for number 4, the measure of angle GDE, so that is this one. Well, we know that we have this little angle here as 59, so that is a bisector of this whole angle. So that means that this one is also 59, and we need to just add those two. So 59 and 59 is 118. For DEH, this one here, we now have a 59-degree angle. We need to find this little guy, and we know that this is 90 degrees. So we would have 90 plus 59, and we would subtract that from 180. Yikes, 180 minus 90 plus 59. So 90 plus 59 is, let's see, it's 149. So 180 minus 149 is 31. So this one's 31 degrees. So that was for DEH. And so now the measure of angle DGH is the same. It's also 31 degrees. Okay. For number 5, we're just going to find all these angles. So you have to figure out where to start. We have this angle at 65. So that means that angle 4 must also be 65. We also know that angle 3 is 90. From that, we can figure out this is also 90. So we can get angle 6 by adding 90 and 52 and subtracting that from 180. So 90 and 52 is 142. 180 minus 142 is 38. So 38, this one here is, which one did I just do? 6 is 38. I like writing these in so I know what I'm doing. 38 degrees, this one was 65. Okay, so if this one's 38, the measure of angle 5 is also 38. We can find the measure of angle 7. Actually, yeah, that measure of angle 7 is the same as this one here, so that would be 52. And then the measures of angles 1 and 2, well, this is a 90-degree angle. So 65 plus 90, we would take that and subtract it from 180. So that would be 180 minus 155, which is 25. And then number 2 is the same. It's also 25. Okay, so we got all those angles. I'm going to let you guys do number 6. And let's see if there's anything here that is tricky. Let's look at number 7. If WX is 14 and WR is 8, find RZ. Okay, so this is 14 and WR is 8, find RZ, which is the same as RX. So you're using the Pythagorean theorem here on this one. So we would take, if we're looking for this one, we'll say, okay, x squared plus 8 squared equals 14 squared. So we end up with x squared plus 64 equals 196. So if we subtract 64 from both sides, we have x squared equals 132. And then you have to take the square root of both sides, and we end up with x is approximately 11.5. Okay, so that means that if this length xr is 11.5, then rz is also 11.5. So rz is 11.5. Okay, so you're going to be using some Pythagorean theorem here on these. Let's see. So yeah, 8, 9, 10, all Pythagorean theorem. And then we have our solving for x. So you just have to know which angles are the same here in this one. So S and U, if this is a kite, then S and U would be equal. They're congruent angles. So we would just take 13x minus 32 and make that equal to 7x plus 22. And you're going to solve for x there. So we would subtract 7x from both sides and add 32 to both sides. So that gives us 6x equals 54. Divide both sides by 6, and you end up with x equals 9. Okay, so same thing in this one. These two angles are equal, so you're just going to set those two equal and solve for x, and then plug it in to find the angle of measure L, or the measure of angle L, excuse me. Same thing here for 13. You're solving for x. 14, well, actually, I guess 13 is a little different because those two are not, they're not congruent angles, but we know this one is 109, so that means this one's 109. So we can take these, and all four of those are going to add up to 360 degrees. So you can set it up as 5x plus 14 plus 109 for this angle, and then this one's also 109. So plus 109, and then we'll add 3x plus 8, and that's all going to equal 360. Okay, so let's combine these down a little bit. That leaves us with, let's see, 5x and 3x is 8x. And then we have 14, 109, 109, and 8. I'm just going to add those up. So 14 plus 109 plus 109 plus 8 is 240. So 8x plus 240 is going to equal 360. And then we're going to subtract our 240. 240. And we end up with 8x equals 120. And then you divide by 8, and x equals 15. So sometimes you need to find these missing parts. And just remember that a quadrilateral, all the angles are going to add up to 360 degrees. Okay, so we also have 14, 9x plus 1. We have that angle. We have this one. So this time we're going to use the triangle because we know that this is a 90-degree angle. So all three of those would add up to 180 degrees. So we would have 9x plus 1 plus 23x minus 7 plus 90 equals 180. And then we can combine like terms. So 9 and 23 is 32. So we have 32x. And then we have 1 plus 90 is 91 minus, let's see, is that plus? Yeah, so 90, we end up with 84 over here. So we have 32, that's not a very good x. 32x plus 84 equals 90. Subtract 84 from both sides, and we get 32x equals 96. And if you divide that by 32, then you get x equals 3. But it says to find the measure of angle STV. So STV is this one, which you know is the same as this one. So we're going to plug in 3 to 9x plus 1. So we would have 9 times 3 plus 1. So that's 27 plus 1, which is 28 degrees for that angle. Okay, So I think that should give you a really good start there on kites.